Okay, so made this video to tap into this everlasting argument of the eras and the generations and what is better and evolution and all that in regards to basketball. So I think my logic is the only logical way to try to settle this whole thing. We always get the whole imaginary time machine thing of putting this 2018 LeBron back into the 60s and trying to make it seem like that's a clear-cut way of knowing that this era is better than all the past, which that to me it doesn't make sense. So here's my logic on why I will always side with the older generations. um it's like I said, we can't do this whole imaginary time machine thing because of course you put anybody from today back then, especially in the 60s and the 70s, it's going to look crazy. Okay, of course today we have an advantage. Let me tell you why we have an advantage today. But the only logical way to me to compare the eras is to just have these athletes seeds in their mindset and their tendencies just born in that era. So to make that make sense, what I mean is, let's have someone like Kyrie. Everybody wants to keep putting 2016 Kyrie back in the 60s, and we're laughing at Kuzi and how he used to dribble and things like that. So let's just take Kyrie Irving's seed, his tendencies, his like everything that's wrapped up in this man's seed. Let's have him born in the 40s, so then he can play in the 60s with Kuzi and everybody else. My logical thinking is he's going to look just like Kuzi. Why? Because he's coming up in that era with them. So all the knowledge that Kuzi and everybody's privy to, Kyrie would be as well. Like we sit here and act like there's no current player today that has revolutionized basketball like that, except for maybe Steph, to make it seem like everybody today is just this original, just new species. Everything everybody got today is from the past. Even Kyrie's method of training to get his hand up to where it is, the plastic paper bag over the basketball, which I used to do as well, that's from the past. That's from Baron Davis and Rafer Alston and things like that. Kyrie probably putting 5-pound ankle weights on his wrists and dribbling the ball. Jason Williams from the past. Like, so stop acting like we just have these new original species today. Everything from today is from the past. So again, let's go back to Kyrie being born in the 40s. He would be dribbling with one hand like Kuzi, because again, he's not doing anything revolutionary today to make me assume that his seed would just would just bring in this new method of dribbling in the 60s. Like it's not. And the same thing with LeBron. You have LeBron born in the 60s, and because of just the way basketball was back then and the coaching and training and things like that, he's going to be what everybody has been saying he should have been, Karl Malone. Like he would have been a 6'8", 6'9" power forward, and that's okay. Like we got to remember, like we keep comparing LeBron to who? People of the past, Magic and Jordan. So guess what? If you're born in the 60s or the 50s, you can't bite off of Magic anymore. You're not learning from him anymore. You're playing against him now. Like, does that make sense? Like you can't there's no imaginary time machine. So let's just assume that these players are born in that time, so they can come up with the knowledge or lack thereof that they had at that time. So that's why I make the comparison of, are they really better or are we just privileged from the past? So now we do the same thing with the players back then. Let's say we have a Jordan. Have Jordan seed his whole makeup, everything that comes within his seed. Have him born in the 90s. Today, where dribbling is, you know, a main thing of training. 3-point shooting is a main thing of training. We got trainers everywhere. AAU all the time, like nonstop basketball. We have so many one sport ponies today, which wasn't the case back then as well. So that's like another thing where it's like guys back then wasn't just playing basketball. Like there's so many kids, which is still mind-boggling to me today, that are just playing one sport. Yeah, we have the nerve to say that they are just better athletes. We're not breeding just new beings today. Yeah, a whole bunch of kids playing one sport, but you're saying they're just better athletes when everybody back then was playing through 2 to 4 sports. Like Danny Ainge was an All-American in, what was it, basketball, baseball, and I forget the other one. So he's like super slept on as like an all-time great athlete. And that was pretty normal back then. But if you have a Jordan born in the 90s, along with the and one era, and have him come up in the and one era and all that stuff, and are we really going to sit here and act like that's not a scary thing to to think about? His mindset today, to where 3-point shots is a focus and dribbling is a focus, and like, I mean, come on. So that's why I will always side with the older generations, because we're today just privileged off of everything that they have done. Like I was looking at zoomed in pictures of the hardwood back then, and it was like these guys was leaping out the building on these things. The shoes back then as well, like the technology that we have now in the shoes compared to then. Dudes was playing in Chuck Taylors, jumping out the building. So you're telling me we just have better, like, come on now. Like, again, we're just in a privileged state to where it looks like we're better. We're not. So I'm just really tired of the disrespectful comments about the past, because we're here because of them.